Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today what I want to do today is I want to talk to you about a list of 10 books that are going to be coming out in September, October, and December that I'd like to read. Alright, so the first one is one that's out already, but before I get underway, so yesterday I did my first live show. To say that I was nervous as hell would be an understatement. All right, but I want to say thank you to the people that showed up, that stayed and interacted with me. We talked about movies, talked about books. LJ Dougherty showed up. We talked, and I want to do a show with LJ. I want to talk about his book, Beast of Caliver Lodge. But anyway, like I said, I just want to say thank you to anybody that showed up and helped me to do this first live show. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about these 10 upcoming books. Like I said, the first one is out already. It came out September 7th. And I will give a list. I will talk about when they're coming out also, the release dates. Anyway, the first one came out September 7th, I believe. And it is The Haunting of Lee Harper, and it's by Darcy Coates. Sometimes the dead reach back. Lee Harker's quiet suburban home was her sanctuary for more than a decade until things abruptly changed. Curtains open by themselves, radios turn off and on, and a dark figure looms in the shadows of her bedroom door at night, watching her, waiting for her to finally let down her guard enough to fall asleep. Pushed to her limits but unwilling to abandon her home, Lee struggles to find answers, but each step forces her towards something more terrifying than she ever imagined. A poisonous shadow seeps from the locked door beneath the stairs. The handle rattles through the night and fingernails scratch at the wood. Her home harbors dangerous secrets, and now that Lee is trapped within its walls, she fears she may never escape. Do you think you're safe? You're wrong. That is The Haunting of Lee Harper, is already out September 7th. Okay, coming out on September 28th. I've got about 3 or 4 books that are coming out September 28th. The first one I'm going to talk about is Horseman, and this is by Christina Henry. Everyone in Sleepy Hollow knows about the Horseman, but no one really believes in him. Not even Ben Van Brunt's grandfather, Brom Bones, who was there when it was said the Horseman chased the upstart Crane out of town. Brom says that's just legend, the village gossips talking. More than 30 years after those storied events, the village is a quiet place. 14-year-old Ben loves to play Sleepy Hollow boys, reenacting the events Brom once lived through. But then Ben and a friend stumble across the headless body of a child in the woods near the village, and the discovery makes Ben question everything the adults in Sleepy Hollow have ever said. Could the Horseman be real after all? Or does something even more sinister stalk the woods? And that is Horseman. It's by Christina Henry, coming out September 28th. Alright. Also coming out September 28th, we've got Summer Suns, and this is by Leigh Mandello. Andrew and Eddie did everything together. Best friends, bonded more deeply than brothers, until Eddie left Andrew behind to start his graduate program at Vanderbilt. 6 months later, only days before Andrew was to join him in Nashville, Eddie dies of an apparent suicide. He leaves Andrew a horrible inheritance, a roommate he doesn't know, friends he never asked for, and a gruesome phantom that hungers for him. As Andrew searches for the truth of Eddie's death, he uncovers the lies and secrets left behind by the person he trusted most, discovering a family history soaked in blood and death. Whirling between the backstabbing academic world where Eddie spent his days and the circle of hot boys, fast cars, and hard drugs that ruled Eddie's nights. The walls Andrew has built against the world begin to crumble. And there's something awful lurking, waiting for those walls to fall. And that is Summer Suns. It's by Leigh Mandello. It's coming out September 28th. Alright. Also coming out September 28th, we've got The Beast in Aisle 34, and it's by Darren Doyle. Sandy Kurtz has problems. He's got a baby on the way, his wife doesn't love him, and he's struggling to find passion or purpose at his big box retail job. And once a month, he turns into a werewolf. In Darren Doyle's deft hands, Sandy's story is a tall tale for our times, an absurd and darkly comedic take on toxic masculinity, small-town America, and the terror of not knowing who you are, or who you're capable of becoming. Join us on the trip. Feel the power of the full moon as it turns you into a carnivore capable of ruling the wilds of rural Michigan. Taste the rich blood of a pulsing animal heart. Feel it cascade down your face as you transform into what you always wanted to be. Enter the wolf. That is The Beast in Aisle 34. It's by Darren Doyle. Coming out September 28th. Alright, coming out in October 4th, we have got Mouthful of Ashes, and this is by Brianna Morgan. I definitely want to read this one. First of all, I love that cover. That cover is absolutely awesome. I'm pretty sure it was done by Elder Lemon Designs. It does fantastic work, alright? Mourning the sudden loss of her sister, Callie Danoff wants nothing more than to embrace a fresh start in a new town, leaving the haunting memories of her sister's death behind. But when her brother Ramsey drags her to a spooky boardwalk, the two become entangled with the local vampire gang and its enigmatic leader, Elijah. Callie refuses to accept their existence until she and her brother unknowingly ingest vampire blood. Now they only have 3 days before they turn into vampires themselves. With her carefree summer thwarted, Callie must trust a group she barely knows in order to save her family. And that's got a little bit of a Lost Boys vibe to it. Did you guys catch that? Because it definitely has it for me, alright? Anyway, it's coming out October 4th, and that is Mouthful of Ashes by Brianna Morgan. Alright. Next up we have The House of Dust, and this is by Noah Broyles, and it's coming out October 5th. Deep in the heat and silence of rural Tennessee, down an untraveled road, sits the forgotten town of Three Summers. Mere miles away on an overgrown river island stands the house that once presided over the grand plantation of Angel's Landing, moss-draped, decrepit, waiting. Failing crime writer Bradley Ellison and former prostitute Missy Holiday are drawn to this place, fleeing a world turned against them. For Brad, it is work. He must find a compelling story before the true crime magazine he writes for judges him expendable. For Missy, it is recuperation. 4 years at the club have left her drained. But the price of peace is high, and soon Brad and Missy discover that something hides behind the quiet, something moves in the night, something that manifests itself in bizarre symbols and disturbing funeral rites, something that twists back through time and clings in the dust of the ancient house. A presence they must uncover before their own past catches up with them. And that is The House of Dust, and that's coming out October 5th. Alright. Also coming out October 5th, we've got The Forest, and this is by Lisa Quigley. I believe this is her debut novel. Everyone in Edgewood believes their annual tithes at the fall festival are what purchases Edgewood's safety. But as Faye and her husband prepared to take over as town stewards, a long tradition carried out by her family for generations, they learned the terrible truth. In order to guarantee the town's safety, the forest demands an unthinkable sacrifice. In the midst of everything, Faye is secretly battling debilitating postpartum anxiety that makes her all the more terrified to leave the safe cocoon of her enchanted town. When everyone turns against her, including her own husband, Faye is forced to flee with her infant son into the forest. She must face whatever lurks there, and perhaps more frightening of all, the dark torments of her own mind. And that is The Forest by Lisa Quigley, and like I said, I believe that is coming out October 5th. Yes, October 5th. Alright, a second here. Alright, coming out October 25th. We've got Cunning Folk, and this is by Adam Neville. No home is heaven with hell next door. Money's tied and their new home is a fixer-upper. Deep in rural southwest England, with an ancient wood at the foot of the garden, Tom and his family are miles from anywhere and anyone familiar. His wife, Fiona, was never convinced that buying the money pit at auction was a good idea, not least because the previous owner committed suicide, though no one can explain why. Within days of crossing the threshold, when hostilities break out with the elderly couple next door, Tom's dreams of future contentment are threatened by an escalating tit-for-tat campaign of petty damage and destruction. Increasingly isolated and tormented, Tom risks losing his home, everyone dear to him, and his mind. Because surely only the mad would suspect that the oddballs across the hedgerow command unearthly powers. A malicious magic even older than the eerie wood and the strange barrow therein. A hallowed realm from where he suspects his neighbors draw a hideous power. And that is Cunning Folk by Adam Neville, and is coming out October 25th. All right. Next up, we've got Where They Wait, and this is by Scott Carson, coming out October 26th. Recently laid off from his newspaper and desperate for work, war correspondent Nick Bishop takes a humbling job, writing a profile of a new mindfulness app called Clarity. It's easy money and a chance to return to his hometown for his first visit in years. The app itself seems like a retread of old ideas, relaxing white noise and guided meditations. But then there are the sleep songs. A woman's hauntingly beautiful voice sings a ballad that is anything but soothing. It's disturbing, really, more of a warning than a relaxation. But it works. Deep, refreshing sleep follows. So do nightmares. Vivid and chilling, they feature a dead woman who calls Nick by name and whispers guidance. Or are they threats? And soon her voice follows him long after the song is done. As the effects of the nightmares begin to permeate his waking life, Nick makes a terrifying discovery. No one involved with Clarity has any interest in his article. Their interest is in him. That is Clarity, coming on October 26th by Scott Carson. And last but not least, we have an anthology, and this is coming out December 1st from Splatter Inc. Publishing, and this is No Anesthetic. Do you love extreme horror as much as we do? Do you think a great, compelling story with extreme violence and gore is your cup of bloody tea? If you answered yes, then strap in, because oh boy do we have the anthology for you. We here at Splatter Inc. Publishing have created this extreme horror anthology for you sickos out there. We asked authors for their extreme horror stories, and oh boy did they deliver. When you jump into this book, it will knot your stomach up and make you squirm. So reader beware. You are in for some messed up stuff. And that is No Anesthetic. And that is from Splatter Inc. Publishing. And it is coming out December 1st. So there you have it. Those are 10 books that I kind of did a search. I did a search on, not YouTube, I did a search on Google. I just did upcoming horror releases, and I looked at a few sites, but I think the main site that I got these from is Amazon. And basically what I did was I just went through and I saw if a cover caught my eye, because you know they say don't judge a book by its cover. A lot of times that's not true, because a lot of times I've gotten books that have awesome covers and are actually awesome books, but then again sometimes that is not the case. But anyway, I just found the ones that caught my eye, read the synopsis for them, thought, hey, you know what, I want to read these. So there you have it, 10 books that I want to read that are coming up in September, October, and December. And that's going to do it. So this is going to post on Friday afternoon, I hope. Or Friday, yes. And thank you for watching, and have a great day. And take care and stay scared. Bye-bye.